Have you ever noticed how a simple breath can change everything? In an instant, the body relaxes, the mind organizes itself, and the heart finds calm. But what few people know is that in Japan, there is an ancient technique that takes only 4 seconds and goes far beyond relaxation. It is a sacred practice that connects human beings to the present, reorganizes vital energy, and opens a silent space within us. For centuries, Japanese monks passed on this secret in temples hidden in the mountains. They said that the heart is like a wild horse, and that breathing is the reins that can control it. If the breath is unbalanced, the horse runs wild. But if the breath remains steady, the horse runs peacefully. This simple metaphor reveals a profound principle. To master the air is to master oneself. When we hear the word tension, the body responds immediately. The chest tightens, the heartbeat quickens, and thoughts become jumbled. We look for quick solutions, but we forget that within us there is a key that needs nothing external. The next conscious breath can be the remedy that dissolves anxiety, strengthens the spirit, and restores clarity. In Japan, this vital energy is called ki. In China, it is known as qi, and in India as prana. Despite the different names, all traditions point to the same truth. Life manifests itself through breathing. If air is conducted with awareness, ki circulates freely, bringing health and balance. But if the rhythm is irregular, imbalances, illnesses, and restlessness arise. Ancient masters told stories to illustrate the importance of breathing. A disciple asked, "How can I find peace?" The master replied, "Observe the air that enters and the air that leaves. When you no longer hear your breath, you will hear your essence." This phrase reveals that breathing is a bridge between body and spirit. With each cycle, you not only oxygenate your cells, but you connect to the invisible. Samurai also used this practice before battles. They inhaled slowly, held their breath, exhaled, and remained in emptiness. This ritual prepared not only their muscles and reflexes, but above all their minds. True courage did not come from the sword, but from the breath that balanced emotion and reason. That is why they were feared, not only for their technique, but for their serenity amid chaos. Today, science calls this method box breathing. There are 4 phases of 4 seconds. Inhale, hold, exhale, and remain empty. But long before it received its modern name, this cycle was already known to monks and warriors. They knew that, repeated a few times, it completely changes the internal state. Each phase has a special meaning. Inhaling is allowing vital energy to enter, filling every internal space. Holding is letting that energy spread, creating stability. Exhaling is releasing worries, fears, and tensions. The final emptiness is silence, the moment when time stops and the mind rests. By repeating this cycle, agitated brain waves begin to calm down. The heart rate stabilizes. Circulation improve. Stress-related hormones decrease. And most importantly, a sense of clarity and balance emerges, as if a luminous space has opened up within the mind. It is impressive to realize how something so simple can have such an impact. Just 4 seconds can change emotional patterns that seemed impossible to control. Just 4 seconds can bring your focus back to the present. And when this practice becomes a habit, the transformation goes far beyond the moment. Gradually, the brain learns to react more calmly, the body becomes stronger, and your whole life is reorganized. The Japanese believe that there's an energy center below the navel called hara. This point was seen as the root of vitality. Breathing deeply into the hara was considered essential for maintaining courage and balance. Warriors trained so that in the face of any threat, their breathing would always be steady. It was from this center that the invisible force that sustained each movement was born. But this practice is not restricted to monks or warriors. Anyone can apply it. During work, in moments of anger, before sleeping or upon waking, for seconds of conscious breathing can completely transform one's inner state. The practice does not require tools, does not require a special place, does not require a long time. It only requires presence. Imagine a person facing a difficult decision. The heart races, the mind runs in 1,000 directions. She closes her eyes and does the cycle. For seconds to inhale, for to hold, for to exhale, for to remain empty. After a few cycles, the anxiety dissolves, the heart slows down, and clarity returns. That is the power of this technique. When practiced daily, 4-second breathing becomes a lifestyle. You start to deal with situations differently. What used to cause stress is now faced with more serenity. What used to seem heavy becomes lighter. Gradually, you discover that you don't need to control everything around you. You just need to control what is inside. And what is inside always begins with breathing. Inhaling is receiving life. Exhaling is letting go of what is not useful. Remaining in the void is learning to rest. Each cycle is a reminder that you have an untouched space within you, where nothing can disturb your peace. This space is always accessible, requiring only a conscious breath. The most beautiful thing about this practice is that it does not belong to a specific culture. Although preserved in Japan, its essence is universal. Children, adults, the elderly, everyone can practice it. It does not matter what religion, country, or routine you have. Breathing is common to all, and the secret is within everyone's reach. Modern life seems to demand constant haste, but stopping for 4 seconds is resisting that pace. It is saying, I choose to be present. This small gesture is a silent revolution, a revolution that does not happen in the streets, but within each heart that decides to breathe consciously. So every morning, every night, every challenge, remember, the key is in the next breath. There is no need to wait for ideal conditions or search far away. Just close your eyes, inhale, hold, exhale, and remain silent. This simple practice can change not only your day, but your entire life. To breathe is to live, but to breathe consciously is to awaken to life in its fullness. And that fullness is within your reach right now. By now you understand that 4-second breathing is more than just an exercise. It is an invisible portal that leads to balance. However, the practice does not end with the mechanics of inhaling, holding, exhaling, and remaining empty. The true value appears when this technique is applied in everyday life, transforming ordinary moments into opportunities for self-control. Japanese monks said that each cycle is like passing through portals. The first is physical. The body relaxes, the heart finds its rhythm, and the muscles loosen. The second is mental. Turbulent thoughts lose their strength, and the mind becomes organized. The third is spiritual. A silent space opens up where consciousness finds rest. It is this sequence that makes breathing a path to self-transformation. In tradition, this state was called nushin, inner silence. It is not the absence of external sound, but the stillness that arises when the internal voices calm down. Samurai sought this state before facing battles. Artists cultivated it before creating. Monks explored it in their meditations. For all of them, breathing was the tool that opened the door to this deep silence. Today, science explains that this 4-second cycle activates the parasympathetic nervous system, responsible for relaxation. Brain waves linked to agitation decrease, and alpha waves, related to concentration and creativity, increase. The level of cortisol, the stress hormone, drops. But there is something beyond statistics. The indescribable feeling of peace that invades when the body, mind, and spirit align. But how can we bring this practice into real life? It is not enough to know, you have to practice. That is why Japanese masters suggested ways to incorporate the habit at different times. The first is upon waking up. Before diving into external stimuli, sit down, close your eyes, and do 5 cycles. This prepares the mind for the day, bringing clarity and energy. The second is during stressful situations. When faced with anger, anxiety, or worry, pause. Breathe in, hold, breathe out, remain empty. Imagine the tension leaving with the air. This exercise trains the brain to react with serenity instead of impulse. The third is to set aside weekly breaks. Choose a time, disconnect from distractions, and practice for 5 minutes. This break recharges creative energy and prevents burnout. The fourth is to integrate it into meditation. For those who already have a habit of meditating, the 4-second cycle deepens concentration, leading to inner silence more quickly. The fifth is before bedtime. Take a few minutes to breathe consciously. This slows down your heart rate and induces deep sleep. Your body rests better, and the next day becomes more balanced. If 4 seconds seems too long at first, start with 3 and gradually increase. The key is consistency. Sit with your spine straight, practice diaphragmatic breathing, expanding your abdomen. This enhances the effects, fully activating the relaxation system. If you forget at any point, it's okay. Just pick it up again the next moment. Each breath is a new chance. This practice is not like a quick-acting, temporary remedy, but a path that deepens with each repetition. Over time, the results become visible. Situations that previously caused anxiety no longer have the same impact. Emotions find balance. The body responds with vitality. The mind becomes clearer. The spirit feels connected to something greater. It is as if breathing gradually reprograms the way of living. There's an ancient story about a Zen master who said, "Each breath is birth and death. To inhale is to be born. To hold is to live. To exhale is to die. Emptiness is eternity." This metaphor shows the symbolic depth of the cycle. It is not just an exercise, but a mirror of life itself. As you practice, you also learn to let go. With each exhalation, you can release accumulated worries, hurts, or fears. We often carry invisible burdens without realizing it. Conscious breathing gives us the chance to surrender them, restoring lightness and freedom. Another fundamental aspect is vital energy, or ki. According to Japanese tradition, ki circulates through the body through breathing. When the rhythm is irregular, this energy becomes unbalanced, causing fatigue and illness. When the rhythm is harmonized, ki flows without blockages, strengthening the body, mind, and spirit. That is why the ancients believed that before facing any external challenge, it was necessary to first balance the internal ki. Now, imagine applying this technique to all areas of life. Important decisions would be made more calmly. Conflicts would be faced with greater clarity. Relationships would be lived with more balance. Each conscious breath would become a tool for dealing with challenges differently. Over time, the body adapts. The brain creates new patterns. The mind learns to seek serenity instead of chaos. This is the essence of the practice, to re-educate the self through something simple and universal. And there is something even deeper. When breath and consciousness unite, the body becomes a temple. The heart vibrates in harmony, and the mind expands in silence. This union is a form of silent prayer, without words, but full of presence. Religion or culture does not matter, because breathing is common to all. It is the universal language of the spirit. To realize this is to recognize that the greatest power is always available. There's no need to seek outside, travel, or accumulate things. Just turn to the air that comes in and goes out. This is the most powerful and accessible tool. But remember, all this only happens when theory becomes practice. It is not enough to hear or read. It is necessary to feel. It is through constant practice that breathing ceases to be a technique and becomes a lifestyle. When you finish this stage, make a choice. Allow this wisdom to become a habit. Choose a moment, close your eyes, and breathe in 4 counts. It requires no effort, only presence. Each cycle will be an open door to your essence. Each door will lead you to higher states of consciousness, and each state will awaken more of your true strength. To breathe is to exist, but to breathe consciously is to live fully. This practice is the path to transforming not just moments, but your entire life. Breathing is the simplest proof that we are alive. However, we almost never stop to realize its power. The Japanese 4-second technique, passed down from generation to generation, is not just a practice of balance. It is a path to rediscovering your essence. It is an invisible journey that begins in the body, passes through the heart, and ends in consciousness. Each cycle reveals that, although we cannot control the external world, we have complete power over the internal world. In the fast-paced times we live in, where everything rushes by and life seems to slip through our fingers, pausing to breathe is an act of resistance. While the clock dictates haste, conscious breathing restores presence. While society demands speed, breathing in 4 counts demands calm. In just a few seconds, physical pain can dissolve, worries can lose their intensity, and the spirit can find clarity. It's like holding an invisible key that opens doors of serenity amid chaos. Imagine the impact of this practice in real situations. When faced with a difficult decision, amid emotional conflicts, during sleepless nights, or at the end of a tiring day, just a few cycles are enough to transform the experience. The body slows down, the mind finds organization, and vital energy is renewed. This is the true victory, not over the world, but over oneself. Each conscious breath is more than oxygen. It is a silent dialogue with life. Each pause is meditation. Each cycle is rebirth. This technique transforms ordinary moments into spiritual experiences. Even simple activities such as walking, cooking, or talking can become mindfulness practices when accompanied by 4-second breathing. Japanese masters taught that life is not made up of years, but of breaths. To lose awareness of them is to lose the now. To recover them is to recover life. This teaching is profound. By mastering 4 seconds, you master your presence. By mastering your presence, you transform your existence. The question may arise, can something so simple really change so much? The answer lies in experience. 1 minute already brings calm. 5 minutes transform body and mind. Weeks of practice reprogram emotional patterns. Months of consistency rebuild the way of living. It is a silent but profound process, like water that carves stone. The 4-second breath is also a symbol. To inhale is to be born. To hold is to live. To exhale is to die. Emptiness is eternity. Each cycle reflects the cycle of life itself. When we practice, we are not only taking care of our health, but participating in a ritual that echoes the secrets of the universe. In Japan, warriors and monks called this practice the art of living in the present. They knew that courage, wisdom, and peace did not come from outside, but from the balance achieved by the air. Today, anyone can experience the same thing. Before speaking in public, before facing a challenge, before making an important decision, just breathe in 4 counts. The mind organizes itself, the heart finds steadiness, and the spirit regains confidence. And the most beautiful thing is that there are no barriers. Children, young people, adults, and the elderly can practice it. Religion, culture, or routine do not matter. Breathing is universal. Everyone breathes, and everyone can transform this function into a path to awakening. Another essential aspect is the power of sharing. Keeping this secret to yourself would limit its reach. Think of the people close to you who face anxiety, stress, or sleepless nights. By sharing this knowledge, you become a channel of healing. When more people learn to breathe consciously, the collective energy is also transformed. And remember, peace is not found in external achievements, recognition, or perfect conditions. True peace is hidden in the next breath. It does not depend on anything outside of you. It is always present, just waiting for your attention. At this point, the decision is yours. You can finish reading this and move on, or you can stop right now and try it. Inhale while counting to 4. Hold while counting to 4. Exhale while counting to 4. Remain empty while counting to 4. Repeat a few times. Feel your body slow down, your mind clear, your heart calm. That is the key. If you already feel relief after just a few moments, imagine the impact of daily practice. Imagine weeks of conscious breathing, months of applying it in different situations, years of transforming this technique into a lifestyle. The world around you may continue to speed by, but you will be rooted in serenity. This is true freedom, not depending on what is outside to find balance within. Each cycle is like opening a window. The air that comes in brings life. The air that goes out takes away burdens. The final silence reveals the essence. It is in this space that we discover that we are not hostages to circumstances, but creators of internal states. This is the greatest power anyone can achieve. The Japanese believed that by breathing consciously, ki energy reorganizes itself. This vital flow strengthens the body, balances the mind, and expands spiritual connection. For them, breathing was medicine, prayer, and a path. It is no coincidence that samurai, artists, and monks considered it indispensable. Today, with scientific backing, we understand its value even more, but the secret remains the same: practice. So every morning, when facing stress, before going to sleep, remember, the key is in your next breath. You don't need to wait for ideal conditions. You don't need special environments. Just close your eyes, count to 4, and let the cycle guide you. This simple practice can change not only your mood or your day, but your entire life. To breathe is to exist. To breathe consciously is to live fully. This is the invitation that this technique offers. It is not an empty promise, but a path tested for centuries, used by warriors and monks, and now accessible to anyone. The journey that began in the body now ends in consciousness. But at the same time, each breath is a new beginning, because breathing never ends. It is an eternal cycle of birth, life, death, and rebirth. And you have a choice: to remain distracted or to live each cycle as an opportunity for awakening. The final question is simple but decisive. Now that you know this key, will you use it, or will you let it remain just a theory? The choice is in your next breath.